Okay, it's about time to talk oil and gas. Once again, welcome to Oil and Gas Watch on Smailz Radio 98.7 FM. Welcome back. Smailz Radio 98.7 FM is the station you are tuned into, and this is Oil and Gas Watch with Blessing and Jeremiah. Right? Let's get straight into it. Olatide Jeremiah is here to help us elaborate this news roundup, and we begin with the news from Sunday. What we have here, Nigeria retains cheapest petrol in West Africa in 2025. When I saw this, I said, you really need to, talk to us more about this. And I'm taking it to this dimension. Being the major exporter of oil in Africa, can we actually say cheaper fuel is in Nigeria, or cheaper fuel in Nigeria is overrated?
Good afternoon, listeners. Well, first and foremost, currently the price of petrol in Nigeria is between 865, 870 to 900 naira. So personally, I am of the opinion that the price of petrol is not as cheap as it's being portrayed.
Yeah,
because looking at other West African countries, we have over 15 West African countries, and Nigeria is the only country that exports oil. We are even the biggest exporter of oil in Africa. So for us to do 870, 900 per liter is even a bit above what we are supposed to sell as a producing nation. For example, now we have Libya. Libya sells 55 naira per liter. Libya is an oil producing country. They sell 55 naira per liter. Algeria sells 250 naira per liter. Angola sells 350 naira per liter. And Nigeria is selling 870 per liter. And those countries are countries that are on the same category when it comes to producers of oil in Africa. Nigeria is even the number one. What we produce on a daily basis is between 1.5 million per barrel to 1.7 million per barrel. So we should be selling a bit below 870. As at this morning, independent petroleum marketers of Nigeria, they are of the opinion that Dangote's price should be below 800 naira. That for us to sell, for stations to be selling 870 to 900 per liter is on the high side, considering the fact that we are a major exporter of oil. Now let's look at it. Currently, we do 870. The next country sells 2,100 per liter. And when you go down the line, you have Guinea selling 3,500 per liter. Those countries don't have crude. Those countries don't have refineries. They import. And those countries have very weak currencies, because definitely when you want to import, the international currency is dollar. So when you have a very weak currency and you're trying to get FX, definitely it's going to add up to the landing cost. Yeah. So all those factors makes them sell at that price. So for Nigeria that has a lot of oil, we have refineries. We have 4 government refineries that, if you merge them together, they could give us over 50 million liters per day. We have the Dangote Refinery that has 650,000 barrels per day that could give us over 100 million liters when refined. So it is for me, it's a no. It's a no to you to compare those countries, those West African countries, to Nigeria. Nigeria is giant of Africa. We should be doing 600, 500 thereabouts.
As an oil producing country that we are, I was going to ask you, how much do you think it's actually okay to say? And now you're saying about 600,
700, 600 thereabout.
Thereabout. That's what you think is fair. Nigeria retains cheapest petrol. Are we going to say it's not totally true?
Yeah, for me, it's overrated.
Okay.
If you correlate those factors I mentioned, the fact that we are the major or the biggest producer of oil in Africa, if you correlate it, our prices should be between 500 to 600 per liter at the pump.
Let's move on to Monday. what we have here says market shift may force Dangote to review diesel and petrol prices. Now my question is, you are an expert. Can you just tell us about what the petroleum market situation is right now?
Currently, there is an intense competition between the three major blocks in the petroleum industry. We have the NNPCL. NNPCL has over 450,000 capacity of refineries. We have the Kaduna Refinery, we have the Warri Refinery, and we have the Port Harcourt refineries, which, if added together, could give us 450,000 barrels per day. If you equivalent them to liters, it's going to give us thereabouts 50 million liters per day. And look at the Dangote Refinery, has 650,000 barrels per day. If you do the equivalent of that, it's going to give us over 100 million liters thereabout per day. So, and you have the private depots that they import heavily. They import over 30 to 40 million liters per day. So there is this competition between those three major blocks. You get to see Dangote trying to hedge out the private depot and the marketers, trying to review his prices and all of that. So currently, price at the depot is for petrol is between 825, 827, 830 in Lagos, and you have the private depot selling at that particular price. So most likely Dangote is going to have a review in fuel prices, petrol and diesel, in coming days. So he could hedge out those importers, because Dangote is of the opinion that there should be no importation of petroleum products. And for me, I slightly disagree, because even in the advanced countries, you still have a bit of importation so that there could be a balance. When you allow a complete refinery to operate at that level, where a country like Nigeria, we have over 230 million population, we depend on like a Dangote refinery, it's a bit risky. Right. But when there is a combination of importation, there's going to be a balance, there will be competition, and with that, prices will keep dropping.
So talking about the market shift, I'm kind of curious. What external and internal pressures are currently impacting Dangote's pricing decisions?
Firstly, crude oil imports. As I speak with you, Dangote still imports 70 to 60% of what he uses for refining. What he gets from the federal government in the naira for crude deal is just 30%. That's like 100,000 or 100,000, 150,000 barrels per day. So he imports heavily. So for Dangote to import like a 5 tanker vessels, equivalent to over 400,000 metric tons in a month, definitely you're going to see prices a bit at that level. That's why that is why if you look at me, I said price should be between 500 and 600, because of the fact that Dangote here, there's still an iota of importation in the Dangote refinery. So for me, I just feel that the federal government really needs to increase their production. Currently, we are on 1.5 million barrels per day. As soon as they increase to like 3 million barrels per day, they could have enough crude for Dangote. And as soon as they get enough crude, price will drop. But for now, he still imports 70% of the crude he uses for the refining process.
Thank you for explaining that. Let's head over to the news from Tuesday. This one says protesters urge EFCC, ICPC to probe NMDPRA 5 million naira scandal. And this takes us back to, I remember I think the first edition we did, where we were talking about scandal in the industry. There actually seemed to be like corruption. Yeah. It looks like corruption is deep in the petroleum industry right now. Can you explain to our audience, our listeners, more about the scandal?
For the benefit of our listeners, NMDPRA means Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Agency. They are the regulatory agency in charge of the downstream sector. When I mean that sector, I mean the refining, the storage, and the retail outlet operation in Nigeria. So it's been headed by engineer Ahmed Farouk, the CEO of NMDPRA, and there've been a whole lot of petitions against him. Recently, there is this petition that he spent, or he has used over $5 million from the coffers of NNDPRA to fund his children's tuition fee in Switzerland and India, though it's a petition. And secondly, one of his sons works for Ohando, and Ohando is one of the major players in the oil and gas industry. So if you, as the CEO of the regulatory agency, your son works for an organization in that particular, how will you regulate well when your son is part of the process? It's going to be like impossible. Just like when we had the issue between NNDPRA and Dangote, when there is a ruffle between them. NNDPRA is saying that Dangote's product is substandard. Dangote is saying no, our product is very standard. So will you having one or two things to do with companies that are supposed to regulate? It's a thing of integrity. Your integrity will be tested. So they are of the opinion that those two issues should be looked into. So they wrote a petition to the AGF, of the AGF, Attorney General of the Federation, that the corruption in NNDPRA is intense and it needs to be looked into.
This corruption thing that we're talking about, it doesn't look like something that is going to end anytime soon. It looks like it's something that will keep going on if regulatory bodies do not do the right thing. Yeah. But anyways, what are the potential implications of this scandal on the public trust and foreign investment in Nigeria oil sector?
Yes, quite frankly, we have the international bodies looking at situations in Nigeria. We have the IOCs that comes to Nigeria to invest. Mm-hmm. This is going to affect the trust of foreign investors on our petroleum industry, because the petroleum industry is very large. We have the upstream, we have the downstream. The upstream needs a lot of foreign input for us to get what we need to get in the upstream sector. So it is a bad one that stuff like this are not properly dealt with. We shouldn't be having a petition where the CEO of NNDPRA is being tailored that $5 million is used. And for every rumor, there's always an iota of truth. And this is not the first time we're having protesters coming out to say, oh,
$5 million?
$5 million, yes. $5 million, yeah. So it is not the first time we're having petitions, we're having protests that, oh, the NNDPRA, they are corrupt and all of that. So it is a function of the government, the EFCC, to look into issues like this. EFCC, the AGF should look into issues like this. Do an internal probe to look into what is really happening. Why are we having recurring scandals in the petroleum industry? We had the NNPCL, $80 billion. Currently, we don't even know what's up with it. Now we're having the NNDPRA. So issues like this should be tackled. Probe should be transparent. Nigerians should know what's happening. Let them know this is the result from this particular probe. And with that, I'm sure they will give confidence to Nigerians and foreign investors.
I hope that EFCC look into this situation. Let's move to Wednesday. The news for Wednesday says petrol price war heats up as independent stations undercut Dangote. Where we are actually fully aware independent stations are undercutting Dangote subsidiary stations through pricing. What do you think, or what exactly is driving this?
Basically, competition. The independent marketers are trying to remain competitive. Most of them have depots, and at the same time they have filling stations. So they are doing everything they can to make sure that they remain in business. Currently, we have few stations already selling below Dangote's subsidiary stations. We have MRS, we have AP, we have Idin, and so on. Those stations are subsidiary filling stations to Dangote. They are like they have the collaborations to sell Dangote's product. But we have other independent stations that are selling below Dangote. So it's a good one. The competition is heated up, and prices are most likely to drop, because competition is most times always in favor of the consumer. When you see two major companies competing, it shows that prices will relatively drop, and I think this is a good news for Nigerians.
Could there be risk that independent stations may face by engaging in aggressive pricing strategies in a situation like this?
It's a business war, and over time, they would move from the competitive hedge to the collaborative hedge. After a while, I'm sure organizations in that level, the Dangote, the importers and all of that, after competing for a while, they will move towards the round table, say, oh, let us collaborate, let's talk. How do we get the benefits in this industry? So for me, the competition will be short-lived. It's not as if it's going to last for like a very long time. Very soon, they get exhausted, they will call each other to the round table, and I'm very sure some business conversation will be made, hopefully.
Before we move on, we just want you to know that you can, call in on the show to join the conversation. You can, ask the expert here, the analyst here, questions that you have on anything concerning petroleum. Let's move on. On Thursday, this one says 2 stories actually from Thursdays, but then let's pick this one and then we'll quickly go into the other one. Dangote halts loading as Tinubu visits refinery. The news of Tinubu's visit, can you talk to us on that, and how could this help the local refinery industry?
It's a landmark visit, and the president has not visited the refinery ever since he came on board in 2023. And I think Dangote came into effect roughly 7, 8, 9 months after Tinubu came in. Ever since then, he has not visited the refinery, and the refinery is one of the biggest in the world. It is so natural and logical that the president comes around to see what's happening. And outside the fact that the president comes to the refinery, he also came around to inaugurate the deep sea port that is like close to the Dangote Refinery. So for me, it is an opportunity for more collaboration between the federal government and Dangote. Seeing that Dangote has the might to supply petroleum products to Nigeria and even West Africa. Yeah, so it's going to help build collaboration for them, and hopefully they made some very, very big statements. The road leading to the refinery was being named after President Tinubu, and Tinubu also endorsed Dangote Refinery, like, oh, this is what an African can do here. And he was so proud of Dangote. So I'm very sure him coming to the refinery will enhance their relationship and also enhance the Naira for crude deal. The Naira for crude deal is not living up to expectation. Initially last year, sometime around October 1st, when that contract was signed, it was signed that the federal government will supply Dangote Refinery 350,000 barrels per day. But currently, as I speak with you, what is being supplied on the Naira for crude policy is between 100,000 barrels to 100,000 barrels per day, which is below what was on that deal. So Tinubu coming to the refinery will help enhance and strengthen the relationship between the federal government and Dangote. So I hope to see better policies between Dangote and the federal government in coming weeks.
Can we say that we should be looking forward to a collaboration between the federal government and Dangote?
Definitely. There's going to be a collaboration. And we have other refineries.
There's going to be, or we are hoping there will be.
Hopefully. Hopefully. Because looking at the fact that we have other refineries that are not functional. We have the Port Harcourt refineries, we have the Warri refinery that are not functional. There could be like a privatization of those refineries. I'm of the opinion that government does not have any business managing the refineries. In the US, in the UK, in Russia, most refineries are managed by private individuals. Governments don't have, government basically, their core function is to regulate industries, regulate organizations not to be in business. Because individuals will perform better when you allow them function. So I have an opinion that there should be a privatization of our refineries to the oil magnates. As soon as they get those stakes in those refineries that are dead, they would definitely keep them starting again.
We hope so.
Yeah.
We hope that the result of Tinubu's visit to Dangote Refinery will bring some change, in the industry. Let's move on to Thursday. Still Thursday, the second story. This one says top 5 ways fuel stations can boost customer loyalty. And if you ask me, head over to PetroleumPrice.ng. I believe we have details of the ways fuel station can boost customer loyalty. But then for station owners listening, can you just give a brief insight so we can move on to the next?
Generally in Nigeria, there is always this mistrust between commuters or consumers of petroleum product at the station. There's this feeling that stations have problem with integrity. You have pumps that are manipulated and all of that. So I'm of the opinion that station owners really need to work very hard to make sure that the stations are properly managed. Their meters are not manipulated. And
that's like one of the most important things.
Yes. See people saying, this place, their meter is being touched and all of that.
Yes.
So stops like that really need to be looked into. So first and foremost, as a station owner, you need to work on your accuracy when it comes to meter. There is a standard by NMDPRA when it comes to the particular setup of a meter. But oftentimes, you see station owners or station managers going to adjust. Because when they adjust, they tend to make more from it. For example now, you brought in a 45,000 litre truck. If you sell at the designated meter, you are going to sell off 45,000 litre truck and make 45,000 litre truck. But if you work on the pump and reduce it, most likely you are going to sell in Naira worth 46,000 litres stock of 47,000 litres. So you're going to get like 2,000 litres ahead. You are shortchanging the consumers. So for me, it is something that most of the station owners really need to look into. And when you go to PetroleumPrice.ng, you're going to get the breakdown of ways to retain customers.
Go to PetroleumPrice.ng. You get the breakdown just as Jeremiah has said. And then this looks like a big one from Friday. This one says Petron endorses PetroleumPrice.ng as digital pricing authority. I think I can say congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
I can say congratulations.
Yeah.
This is like a landmark collaboration to the petroleum industry. Right now we need to know how this collaboration would enhance transparency and efficiency.
It's a big one for us at PetroleumPrice.ng that one of the leading organization and association in the dam sector, Petron, Petroleum Product Retail Outlet Owners of Nigeria, are fully in line with our activities. They've, according to the president, in person of Dr. Billy Harry, he said he has thoroughly and carefully studied PetroleumPrice.ng and realized that this is a platform that everybody, every stakeholder needs to key into. So that was why we were approached and we got the contract signed. Wow. And in that contract, we are going to be the eyes of the petroleum industry when it comes to digital pricing. Station owners would have access to prices in real time. And we have our daily reports that we send out to station owners. Station owners will get daily report of what is happening at the depot. So it's a good one for us and it's a good one for the downstream sector.
Congratulations to PetroleumPrice.ng. Yeah. Okay, congratulations PetroleumPrice.ng. For Saturday, this one says 8 key takeaways from President Tinubu's visit to Dangote Refinery. We talked about this when we're looking at the news from Thursday. So if you want a breakdown of that, you can head over to PetroleumPrice.ng to read up on that.